Hi, I'm back at Kaituna Reserve. I'm just looking at breakfast items that I take with me when I'm tramping. Got some spreads, we've got bars, fruit bread, we've got porridge and instant oats there and things that you add in with them, some salami sticks, got a few drinks, so we've got coffee, tea and fruit juice. And then I've got a few of these freeze-dried meals over here that you can use. So I'll just go through and have a look at all of them, just explain what I do with them, how I use them, and just some ideas for you to take with you next time you go out. My choice of meals that I take for any of the meal periods, breakfast, lunch or dinner, is basically dictated by my cooking style. So what I basically have is I have a 1 litre titanium cooking pot and a gas canister stove. So what I tend to do is I like to do meals that requires the minimum amount of cleaning, and so obviously things like freeze-dried meals are something that I use a lot of. Easy cook things, meals in a bag, for example porridge. So I normally have porridge for breakfast and I would just eat it straight out of these bags, and then that way I don't have any cleanup to do. Just my option. If you're willing to take a few more items with you for cooking, frying pans, spatulas, oil and that kind of thing, really you can do anything. Pancakes, bacon and eggs, sausages. I've seen people eating all of those. You can also go for a cold cook option, so basically like sandwiches. So you could take avocado and cheese and some kind of hearty bread and just make yourself a sandwich for breakfast, and I've seen lots of people doing that as well. It's basically up to you what you want to do. Most of the time when I'm tramping, I'm going to be eating porridge or rolled oats, whatever you want to call it, in the morning. And so I just use those instant oat packets with the addition of some milk powder, some sugar and dried fruit. And so the one that I tend to use are those Uncle Toby's there. There's a whole lot of different varieties of flavour. I like the creamy honey and the maple ones, and there's also a brown sugar one that's really nice. But there's like 3 or 4 different companies that make them in New Zealand. And so just on the front there you can see the bag. So what I do is I take the sachets and empty them into a bag, and then I just add some sugar and some fruit to it. And so what I normally add is some of these craisins, and I'll chuck some sun-made raisins in as well. And then in the morning you just basically add hot water to it, mix it up, and you just add it out of that bag there, and that way you don't have to get any pots dirty in the morning. So this is an item I actually enjoy, but most New Zealanders won't know what these are. Instant grits is a type of ground wheat. It's very similar to polenta and other grains of that type, basically like a corn porridge. And so you just add hot water to them to turn them into a meal. You can add other things to them, jerky, cut up meat, salami, cheese, parmesan. If you mix them up with parmesan, they're really good. And so how I would use it when I'm actually tramping is in the same fashion as the porridge. I'd put them into a plastic bag, and I'd put some salt in with them. I would put in some spices, herbs, parmesan cheese, finely grated parmesan cheese. And then you just put a bit of hot water in with them, mix them up, and they're actually really delicious in the morning. Just something else to try. So these Quaker instant oats, they're actually an American item. I bought them from an online shop in Auckland. They sell American style foods. Other option other than oats or instant grits is something like cream of wheat. That's basically an American version of rolled oats. They're much finer ground up. So they'd be like 2 times as ground as these porridge oats here are. Very smooth. The closest thing that some people would remember would be cremota, which is something we used to get in New Zealand. It's just a different grind of oats, and you just use it the same way. Add sugar, milk, put hot water, cold water in with it, dried fruit, nuts, whatever you want to. As with all tramping meals, you want a good mix of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And so if you're having instant oats or instant grits for breakfast, there's not a whole lot of protein in there. The only protein is any milk powder you stick in. So what I always do in that situation is I'll always have some kind of meat in the morning to go with the oats. Could be salami sticks. I eat those Jack Link's steak bars. They're really good as a morning protein fix. Sometimes I'll have cans of pate. You see the can of pate there, and just have that on bread or a wrap or even crackers, and I've done that for breakfast a few times too, and that's actually quite good. Just basically the protein's slow burning energy, so it keeps you going into the day. It's just a wee bit better than just having oats by themselves. So sometimes if I've got a lot of kilometres to walk over the course of the day, I won't actually have a hot meal. So I won't worry about any instant oats or any of those freeze-dried meals. What I'll have is I'll just have bars. So normally I'll have a cup of coffee, so I'd make myself a cup of coffee and I'd just have some of these bars. And so just some of the bars that I've got here, LCM bars, that's my favourite bar. Other ones that I'll take, Nature's Valley. These tasty nut bars with the chocolate on them are quite nice. This is like a peanut brittle, so it's brittle with peanuts, sesame seeds in there. And so, I'd have like maybe 2 or 3 of those for breakfast with a cup of coffee, and that would be what I'd have for breakfast. Also good for on the go if you're needing to be somewhere early in the morning and you can't really wait around for breakfast. You just basically shove some of those in your pocket and you can eat them on the way. Another no-cook item that I sometimes take with me are Pop-Tarts. And so I generally like the fruit Pop-Tarts. I don't actually have any at home, so I couldn't bring any with me. But what I've got here is like these are Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. This is brown sugar and cinnamon flavour. So the wee packet there, you get 2 toaster pastries in there. They're actually good on the go tramping food. Normally I'll use them if I'm doing a day when I have to walk out to the road end to catch a bus or something like that, and I don't have time to cook in the morning. Obviously, 2 of those is a good meal. When you look at the nutrition in here, there's 400 calories per serving, and so a serving is 2 of those pastries, so that's like 400 calories just there. And then if you added something like salami sticks or cheese or something to it, you're starting to look at some good calories, lots of energy to keep you going. Only problem with them is they're quite sugary, and the same as these bars here, they're very sugary. So not something I use very often, but yeah, it's an option for you. So this is one of the options that I've started taking with me. This is Rosedale fruit loaf. So this fruit loaf here, it's really excellent as a breakfast food. Basically what you do is it's a really dense fruit loaf with like fruit and peel in it, and you just cut a slice off and just have some margarine on it. And so I actually took that with me on the Heafy track for the first 3 days, and it was excellent. It was really, really good. So you can see how much fruit there is in that bread. It's really, really filling with all the fruit and the peel in it. This bread is awesome, either fresh or toasted. Tried it both ways. Yeah, it's just magnificent stuff. Great idea for breakfast. Big old smear of margarine on top. Beautiful! So one of the things that I sometimes take with me is bread, and so if you're taking bread with you, you're going to need something to add onto it. So especially for breakfast, good options are peanut butter slugs. They're really good. Those are those Pix peanut butter slugs. I talked about those in previous vlogs. Or there's honey. That's a small plastic container of honey there. So, you know, you take some bread and a wee bit of margarine and just put some of that on top. That's really good. Pate is another good thing in the morning. And other things you could put onto your bread would be cheese, Vegemite. You could take little individual packets of jam, anything really. The normal spreads that you have in the morning when you're at home. Nutella, lots of people eat Nutella. Yeah, so that's another option. Not something I use very often. Because I just find bread gets crushed when you carry it. But if you're carrying a real hefty loaf like a Vogel's or something like that, they tend to last a wee bit better. Yeah, so that's something you can try out. Pix peanut butter is really excellent. It's in little plastic slugs, so there's 6 in that box. One of them is fine for like maybe 2 pieces of toast. That's what I carry if I'm carrying peanut butter. These are some of the freeze-dried and packaged meals that you could have for breakfast. So just a couple of items there. We've got some backcountry cuisine meals. So some hot versions at the front there and some cold versions at the back. So at the front there we've got one of those OSM meals. That's the hash brown potatoes, the O meals. Just off to the side there we've got an example of a backcountry meal you could use for breakfast, and so that one there is tasty chicken mash. That's a new one and it's really delicious. Cold ones here we've got yogurt and muesli from Backcountry, and this is one of the new real meals range. That one is apples and cream rice. Those meals are actually really delicious. That's the old Absolute Wilderness that's been taken over by a new company. Yeah, so that's one of the options you could do for the morning. Easy, just add hot water or cold water. Very little cleanup, you just eat it out of the bag. Fast, easy to do. You can put the water in and then wait for it to rehydrate while you're packing up all your gear. These real meals, it's a new brand that's just started selling in New Zealand. The meals are really excellent. I've had a couple of their curries and I've had one of their stews, and also the cream rice here, and they're all delicious. I really recommend that brand if you can find them. Some people might think it's funny having rice in the morning, but you know, lots of people in Asia have rice porridge for breakfast. I like it. The apple and the cream rice, that's an excellent choice because it's got carbohydrates, it's got fats, it's got protein in it as well from the milk. Tastes good. Yeah, so I take those when I have the option. I had one of those with me on the Heafy track and it was really nice. It was a really lovely breakfast. So I've talked about these oatmeals before here on the vlog. So I mean what we have here is this is a hash brown potatoes, and so how these things work is they have a FRH, a flameless ration heater in with them. And so what you do is you just basically open the packet, take out the food, you open up the FRH, put it into the packet with the food pouch, and then you just add some water and it heats the food through thermochemical action. Karen and I have used them a few times when we've gone for tramps, and I normally pair these with something like some cheese kranskis that I fry up in the morning, or some bacon, or just like salami. Yeah, but I mean, this is actually a meal in one, because the size of it and the number of calories in it, and you've got everything in it you need. You've got fats, carbohydrates, there's like protein in there from bacon and cheese. There's a couple of other flavours I've used for the breakfast meals. There's some rice dishes that are really good in the morning, and there's a spaghetti bolognese, which is actually a wee bit like Watty's canned spaghetti when you make it up, but it's really delicious, and it's an excellent breakfast meal as well. They sell them at Hunting and Fishing. You know, something for you to have a look at and try out. Recommended. They taste good. Yep, good option. Kaituna Reserve car park. So you're going to want some hot drinks probably in the morning, or you may just go with a cold drink. So I've got a couple of options there. So normally I have those 3-in-1 coffee sachets for breakfast. Nescafe is the one that I normally choose. You can find those in Asian food markets. And so you just basically add hot water, and it's got sugar and milk powder in with it, so it's a complete cup of coffee in one. So I used to drink Nescafe sticks of coffee, but I, after looking at a few vlogs overseas and seeing people using 3-in-1s, I tried them out, and oh man, they're so much better. You don't have to worry about milk, you don't have to worry about sugar, it's all in one. And so this packet here is enough for about 500 mils of coffee. It's really lovely and creamy. You find the packets come from different countries. So this one here is from Indonesia. The Indonesian Nescafe 3-in-1s are good. The ones that come from Malaysia are also good. Some of the ones, I've had ones from Thailand before, and they tasted a bit funny. I think they had more milk powder in them. So look for the ones from Indonesia or the ones from Malaysia. My tea of choice is Cha Nui Earl Grey. I always take a stack of the Cha Nui tea bags with me when I go tramping. That's normally what I have when I'm having a hot drink. So Cha Nui is only available here in New Zealand as far as I know. It's my favourite tea. Earl Grey is my favourite tea type, but I do take other kinds of teas. English breakfast, I take mint teas with me sometimes, fruit teas. I normally have a bag with maybe 3 to 4 tea bags per day, so I have some spares. And for sugar I use artificial sweetener, because you get a wee packet of artificial sweetener with 100 tabs in it, and that's enough sweetener for 100 cups of tea. So much lighter than sugar. I never take sugar with me. You might opt for a cold drink in the morning, so just some fruit juice powder there. So we got Vitafresh, we've got Raro. Those are the two main brands in New Zealand. You just put them into your water bottle and mix them up with the water, and then just drink them from there. They're good actually. They've got lots of sugar in them. The sweetness of them is great when you're tramping, because you kind of miss out on sugar a wee bit. Before you start out in the morning, you want to make sure that you're drinking a whole lot of water. It's kind of, people call it the camel effect. So you're acting like a camel. You're basically drinking a whole lot of water before you start walking, and then that way you don't actually have to carry it. You're carrying it internally. If you start off hydrated at the beginning of the day, it helps with digestion, helps you use that food for the energy to keep you going. So make sure you drink some water in the morning when you're having your breakfast meal. those are a few of the options that you can use for breakfast meals. There's a lot of other things that you can take. Boiled eggs are a good thing to take in the morning. I see people having bacon and eggs in huts all the time. You can actually cook up meals if that's something that you want to do. Just for my particular way of tramping, cooking meals in the morning, I don't really want to spend the effort of doing that. I'm happy to like boil some water, because then you can just basically clean out your cooking pot and you're all ready to go. So yeah, just a few options. There's many other things that you can take. This is the stuff I use. If I'm being honest, the thing that I take 90% of the time is just porridge with the milk and the fruit and the nuts in it. And then the second most often thing I would take would be something like these bars, energized those. And then obviously the freeze-dried meals would be the next thing. Yeah, so I hope you think some of these things are useful. Yeah, so give them a go. Cheers.